Hello, feminine. Tonight I find myself thinking about things I've thought about them before, but I haven't quite thought about them, I guess so intentionally. Tonight I'm thinking about power, power exchange, power dynamics. What is power? I'm I'm thinking about you. I'm thinking about this karmic that I'm still stuck with. I'm thinking about the karmics of my past. I'm thinking about what I used to think power was. And I think what I'm starting to see that it really is. I used to think that power was money. That if you had enough money, you could do anything, be anything, people looked up to you. But that isn't really it. I spent much of this separation in with karmics and others who, no matter how much money I made, they took and took and took, and they were never happy. And they never let me have any control even over what I wanted of myself. It was like the more money I made, the less power I had. And especially now as my finances are drowning, and yet I'm still working, still putting my nose to the grindstone, again, it feels like the more money I make and the more I focus on making more money, it feels like the less I have, the less power and the less money. And there was a time that I thought sex was power. I thought having all sorts of feminines chasing after me, wanting me, fighting over me, I thought that was power. And I thought for a while that friends, like having lots of people that you could call for this favor or that, or if you just were constantly helping people, that they would be there if you crashed, if you needed them. Though all the people that I've been doing things for over the years, you watched me, you got mad at me sometimes for overhelping. You tried to warn me, pointing out that they rarely reciprocated and always had an expectation of more. And what I find now is all those people I thought I could count on when I left you, that when I need them most, they're not there. And they're not there because being with this karmic, I've not been able to spend any time doing anything for anyone. Otherwise, it triggers all sorts of shadows and drama and nonsense, and so I pulled away. And you're one of the few that has actually stuck around, and the others, there's only a few, and they don't have the drive to even reach out as much, and I'm not ready to ask for help yet. Though I'm noticing, though, that I was a doormat, and just doing things for people, it didn't equal them being there for me later. It didn't equal the power that I thought that it would. And then I'm looking at the karmic that I'm with, and the karmics I was with before you, and I'm seeing the games, the head games, the manipulations. Having babies to keep someone, getting joint accounts, signing up for leases and credit, getting into legal agreements, apartments, things like that. I was always afraid to do that with you because I saw how much power it gave those that came before you. But I can see that there's certainly a difference between someone who wants to share those things with you and someone who is using them to control you or keep you or have power over you, or simply to keep themselves from feeling like they're losing something. And I'm seeing how some people use emotions as powers. Especially, there's been some strong karmics in my life, and this particular one has been very good about playing the victim. which I recognize, and it makes me sad to see it, that I did that too. And I did that a lot with you. Because I felt victimized by karmics before who were not necessarily being victims. Like I said, there was a few that really played on it. Though being with who I've been with during the separation, I can see how much I really wanted to help because I was in that vibration. I felt like a victim myself. I didn't feel good enough. I felt like I was just majorly unlucky, like no matter how hard I worked, it always went to shit. And I wanted to help. And then even when I didn't want to help anymore, when I realized that it was a lot in her thinking and that she just needed to stop complaining and start doing, then though I felt like a dick at the idea of saying I was done with somebody who felt like such a victim. I felt like I would just be another person in her story who gave up on her, and I know what that feels like. How many times I tried to, well, to be honest, feminine, it feels like when you asked me to go. I remember you telling me, like, you're so miserable. You complain about everything. I give you the sunshine and then you demand rain. I give you rain and then you demand rainbows. I give you the moon and you demand the stars. And you're not happy no matter which ones I give to you. And I felt awful. And so I can see in many ways my karmic lesson was being faced with someone who was doing that to me. And then I realized how you got to where you got to where you, I mean, I know that you didn't feel good telling me to go. I know that you couldn't have felt good getting to a mean place and you didn't know any other way to get there. I've done that in many cycles with this karmic, to where I put up with it and I tried to help and she didn't want to take any advice or suggestions, wanted to blame me when I suggested that if she'd just change her thinking just a little. And then she'd get mad when I'd say, you're just not grateful for anything, you don't appreciate anything, and you blame me for all the things that go wrong, and give me no credit when things go right. And every time that happened, I thought about how I was like that, and I did that to you, feminine. And I realized there is a certain sort of power in that. I mean, it felt powerful. I felt like I was trapped. I wanted to help, and it felt like all the promises I made to help in the beginning, when I really believed that she was a victim rather than the perpetrator of her own situation. I wanted to help, and I made a lot of promises, and I felt like a jerk when I realized I couldn't keep any of those promises, and it felt like it was my fault for promising before I knew what I was getting into. And then when I realized that I couldn't control that it was never my job to fix her or save her or protect her from herself, then I still felt like a dick, because she felt like I was abandoning her, and I still had my fears of abandonment to deal with. I still felt abandoned by you and by many others, and I didn't know what to do with that. That was a power too. It kept me trapped there. And then she had me stuck with her kids, who, anytime I'd get past all the deflections and manipulations and minimizations and all the crazy making, she'd say, but you can't force me to go. I have kids. You can't make my kids be out on the street. And I remember being a kid on the street. I remember being a kid without much. A kid with just a mom. And then that made me feel even worse, because I realized that I left you with our kids like that. And then I just felt miserable and felt like I might as well stick with what I had. Until I realized that was a power too. And it wasn't a power that was unique to her. Others had done that to me too, and it was exactly why, when I was with you, that I was so scared to allow you to share in any power with me. I was looking everywhere I saw demons, and everywhere I saw that any potential chance of sharing power with you, that you would take it like they take. You would lord it over me and use every possible means to make me feel trapped and stuck and bad so I wouldn't leave. Though I tell you, I never expected to go through a separation with you and to be sitting here looking back, seeing how you never took power from me. You even asked for my consent when it came to hugs. You reminded me that you were cautious because I wasn't always good about saying no. That I often just did what people asked me to do, even if I hated it, because I didn't want the conflict. And that was a strange thing to hear. And I feel like I heard it many times before, but then just the last few times it really clicked. And then I thought about all the things we've been through where you could have forced things. You could have taken power. Times that I gave you the power and still you were cautious. Still you recognized my fear. You included in thoughtfulness of that. And you didn't take it. And then I realized that's power. And then I've watched you over this year. You've stayed single. Yeah, you flirted here and there. Oh, I've been jealous some of the times that I've heard about it or seen it. I can't tell you how many times, in simply seeing how many people like your posts or comment on your videos, that I've felt intense jealousy at the idea of any of them being with you. And I realized, though, that you were neither pursuing them or accepting their invitations. And not because you were waiting for me, but because you value your time. And I know you weren't always like that. You weren't. When we separated, you were not like that. But I see that you are now. I see that you focus on yourself. I see that you give time to our kids and other kids, and that you are enjoying your freedom by yourself. You've said a few times in some of your posts, and even to me, that I'm single. What do I got to worry about? I can flirt with who I want. I can go where I want. I don't have a circus of drama of things to worry about. That's power. Your ability to just be yourself, that's power. To speak your truth, that's power. To be unafraid to lose me, or to be unafraid to be alone, that's power. That's a power I've not yet known. I didn't, to be honest, ever think it was possible. I know if you look around, anybody else that we know, there's nobody doing that.